right.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Well, hi, everyone. Like I just introduced myself, but my name is Kaylee Cantor, and I'm the program specialist for Mothers Against Drunk Driving here in San Diego. Thanks, everyone, for hopping on and joining us around dinner time. I know it's tough for everyone, so everyone's always hungry. But yeah, I'm just going to talk to you guys a little bit today about what MAD does in our community, as well as underage drinking, and then just some conversation builders for parents to talk to their youth about these types of topics. So as some of you guys in the audience might know, probably more so parents, MAD's main mission is to end drunk driving. But we also work to help fight drug driving and prevent underage drinking, as well as support the victims that have been impacted by these violent crimes. And a lot of people wonder, if MAD's main mission is to end drunk driving, why are we so concerned about underage drinking? And we're concerned about underage drinking because youth who start drinking at a young age are actually 7 times more likely to be involved in an alcohol-related crash later on in life. And so if we can go into the communities and provide them this type of information, we can limit these senseless tragedies that happen down the road. So today I'm going to be giving you a very brief overview of both our Power of Parents and our Power of Youth presentations. Because at MAD, we recognize that it takes both parents and youth to tackle the problem of underage drinking and to be part of the solution. So since this is kind of a condensed rapid fire version of my normal presentation, feel free to reach out to me at the end of the presentation. I'll have my contact information, or if you'd like any sort of additional resources, I'm always willing to email or hop on a call. So it's imperative to discuss the dangers of underage drinking because youth's brain is in a really fragile developmental stage right now, and adding alcohol dramatically increases the chances of its long-lasting effects. So you can see here on this chart, the younger that you are that you have your first drink, the greater chance of developing an alcohol disorder. So around 13 years or younger, your first drink, you're at about a 45% chance of developing an alcohol disorder. Conversely, looking at 21 and older, which is the legal drinking age, you're less than 10%. So it's really important for youth to wait and make these kinds of decisions once their brain has fully developed. So why 21? Short answer, it's bad for your brain, but there's also health risks associated with underage drinking. Alcohol is a drug that, unlike most other drugs, affects your entire body. So for any teens, these years right now that you're in are years of rapid development for your brain, and your brain is really learning at a really fast rate. Your brain is learning information that you use on a regular basis, and it's also learning information that you don't necessarily need all of the time. And so this is one of those times in your life where anything that you practice regularly, whether it's a skill, memorization, it's something that you can have for the rest of your life. Alternatively, if it's something that you don't really care about, your brain can discard it pretty easily. So this is a depiction of the development of a human brain. You can see from left to right, a 5-year-old brain all the way up to a 20-year-old brain. And the different colors represent the levels of maturation. And you can see, even at 20 years old, the brain is still developing. And developing areas in your brain include areas of executive function. So if you can see that little tiny white square, that is where the greatest level of your executive functions happen. Your executive function is basically just a set of mental processes that helps connect your past experiences with your present action. So people use these types of skills, your executive function skills, to perform activities like planning, maybe organizing, strategizing. It helps you pay attention and remembering little small details at times. So it's really important to remember that your brain during this time is in a really vulnerable state, and it's really susceptible to long-lasting effects from foreign substances. So ingesting harmful chemicals like alcohol at this age can actually attack these areas that are available for you to be able to process new information, and it can damage them. So later down the road, if you're looking at learning and trying to regain information, that part of your brain might be interrupted.
Kaylee, Do you mind if I interrupt you real quick? We have a parent who's going to need interpretation. So
Oh,
if
yeah,
you
go
want to
ahead.
stop sharing your screen for a couple minutes so I can let them know how to activate it, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no
Okay.
problem.
Bienvenidos, gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. Voy a tomar un poquito de tiempo para empezar la interpretación y les voy a mostrar cómo hacer ¿cómo se dice este proceso? Déjenme tantito encontrar las direcciones y ahorita les aviso. Ok. Voy a decirles en inglés primero, después en español. All right, so for our interpretation services, it's important that all of us actually select our preferred language. So even the presenters and participants, if you are going to continue speaking in English and want to hear the presentation in English, what you're going to do is on your Zoom, you should see the interpretation globe. You're going to click that and then click interpretation and then select English if you want to stay there. And if you're on your phone, you should be able to tap the screen and then click the more option, select interpretation, and then English as well. Ahora, para los que están así, necesitan la interpretación en español, si están en la computadora, pueden seleccionar el globito de interpretation, después seleccionar español y van a escuchar a Nuria, nuestra intérprete, diciendo toda la información de las presentaciones. Si está en el celular, puede poner el dedo en la pantalla del celular y seleccionar la opción que dice More con los 3 puntitos arriba y después poner la interpretación del lenguaje, seleccionar español y de ese modo podrá escuchar la presentación en español. Si tiene alguna pregunta o no está resultando este procedimiento, dígame y yo le puedo ayudar. And if anybody has any questions, let me know. But just remember, if you're doing English, just select English in their interpretation. And I'm going to do that for myself. And whenever you're ready to continue, go ahead, Kaylee.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, let me get back to where I was. Okay, perfect. So for parents in the audience, it's really important that you learn the dangers of underage drinking as well as youth. I think a lot of parents probably think that youth getting behind the wheel of the car after they've been drinking is their main concern, which is a completely valid concern. Around 30% of underage drinking related fatalities are traffic related. But it's also really important to realize that taking away the car keys doesn't necessarily take away the risk when it comes to underage drinking. There's actually quite a lot of other underage drinking related fatalities to discuss. One of them being violent behavior. Obviously, when people consume alcohol, it can lead them to being more aggressive, maybe damaging objects, being more violent towards other people. Alcohol poisoning, this is also known as an overdose. Alcohol is actually a depressant and it slows down your bodily functions like your heart rate, your blood pressure, your breathing. And so if you drink too much too fast, it can actually lead to a rapid decline of these important functions, and it can slow your coordination down and your reaction time, sometimes to the point of feeling sick and losing consciousness. Assault, sometimes consuming alcohol can be associated with physical or sexual assault. Death, as we've discussed in this pie chart, car crashes, suicides, homicides, those are the leading fatalities in underage drinking related. And we can also see alcohol poisoning up there too. And that's really important for people who have college age kids right now. Alcohol poisoning, it can be really prevalent at universities and colleges. Binge drinking behavior is extremely common. And so being able to warn your child about the harms of alcohol poisoning, as well as being able to identify signs of alcohol poisoning. So if they ever see someone their age maybe suffering from alcohol poisoning, they can help save a life. So I think it's always really important to talk to youth about that too. Accidental injuries, so falls, accidental drownings, fires, stuff like that. Academic problems, I think this is huge for youth, especially teens. Heavy drinking at an early age when your brain is still developing can lead to impairment in your brain function like memory, coordination, motor skills. A lot of times kids are going to be more likely to skip school, absences, truancy, might have a harder time concentrating. Obviously, this can kind of snowball into making bad grades. And if college admission's on the line, things can kind of waver there. Impaired judgment. It can lead to youth making risky choices like unprotected sex or driving after they've been drinking, or that aggressive and violent behavior that we discussed. And then arrest, getting in trouble with the law, probation. It's important to know that even a juvenile record can follow you. And then addiction, research shows that teens who start drinking at an early age are going to be more likely to develop alcohol or substance use disorders later on in their adult life. So I think for parents, they can often rank drugs as more dangerous than alcohol, but it's also really important to remember that alcohol is a drug and it's the #1 drug choice among youth. It's used more than tobacco, it's used more than marijuana, it's used more than any other illicit substance combined, and it kills more than 4,300 youth every year. And as we talked about earlier, kids who start drinking young are actually 7 times more likely to be in an alcohol-related car crash. So it's really important that you start having these conversations and having them frequently with their youth so they can be aware of these consequences. And I think this is always really shocking for parents, but latest research actually shows that kids start to consider the pros and cons of drinking alcohol as early as 8 years old. So also just being aware as a parent of the things that you're saying, consuming alcohol around them, not to say that you can't, but just having really open and honest conversations with your youth about these topics is really important. I think parents can also tend to worry about peers maybe giving their kids or a group of friends applying social pressure to their kid to drink, but really parents should be worrying less about their teens associating with any sort of bad kid or a specific group, and really start focusing on helping correct adolescents' misperceptions that everyone is drinking. And because these misperceptions can lead to the belief that it's normal to drink underage and that you have to drink to fit in, because obviously this ultimately leads to more teen drinking. Because in reality, only about 1 in 4 8th graders have ever tried alcohol, and 1 in 18 currently binge drinks. So that means that a majority of students and teens are not drinking right now. And so for parents, it's important to direct your focus on what the real problem is, and that's correcting misinformation and changing your kids' perception about alcohol use. So the role of adults in youth decisions to drink alcohol is a huge one. There are some adults who think that allowing kids to drink small amounts of alcohol in the home will teach them how to drink safely, or that maybe letting their kids drink at home takes away the mystery of alcohol and will decrease their kids' desire to drink. Or maybe that it's okay to provide alcohol to underage teens for special occasions or their holiday or for their birthday or for a holiday. Or that if you drank or used drugs as a teen and you turned out okay, so your kids will turn out okay too. And so it's really important to realize that these misperceptions are really harmful and can create really unhealthy relationships between your youth and your alcohol. So being able to nip these misperceptions in the butt is really important, and realizing that these aren't, healthy alternatives to letting your kid go out and drink alone. They're just misperceptions in general, and they should be addressed. So as I'm wrapping up, we can just take a moment to discuss some of the tips to starting a conversation with your teen about drinking. We actually have this virtual handbook that I can pass along in the chat and pass along to Susanna, who maybe will email everyone out at the end of the event who registered. But it's really important, simply just start where you're at today. Many times the conversation takes more than one sitting and it can evolve over time. And just as a parent, be an active participant in starting the conversation. Maybe suggest that you want to talk. Don't wait for your kid to come up and start the conversation with you, because they probably won't. Kids don't really want to talk to their parents about alcohol and drug use. That's not really cool. And they usually don't think that their parents are going to be perceptive to listening to any of it. Because some teens will respond negatively or neutrally. So if you can bridge that dialogue, that's always really helpful. Start with how, what, and why questions, because this can really help encourage an exchange of ideas, thought-provoking discussion with your teen too. But also get in the habit of asking permission to ask questions, because this really sets the stage of where you're going to work together to solve problems instead of conversations being one way, which I think they can definitely be when they're surrounding topics like this. It's really important to respect how your teen might feel. Don't force them to communicate if it's a bad time. Maybe if they don't want to talk, just let it drop and bring it up later, and try and pick a time when your kid will be more open to talking. And I talked about this too, talk a lot, talk every day. And this doesn't even necessarily have to be about alcohol or drug use. Talk about things that matter to your teen. Just ask them questions, seek to understand things that are going on in their day-to-day life, because this really makes conversations a normal part of your interactions with them. And then when the time does come to discuss these heavier topics like alcohol and drug use and all of these really serious things, it's going to flow so much easier. So having these conversations with your kids, earlier doesn't necessarily mean it has to be about alcohol use, but just keep talking to your kids. And then lastly, seek discussion, don't lecture. You can share your own experiences and opinions about how alcohol and maybe other drugs have impacted your life or changed over the years. Because as you open up and if you're more honest with your youth and share your experiences, your child's going to be more willing to be open with their experiences too and ask questions. So to parents and youth in the audience, this message is for everyone. Just know, parents, you have the power to make a difference with your youth. Having these conversations with your youth early and regularly is so important. And then for youth, be the positive voice among your friends, your classmates, help everyone continue to be successful and healthy. Thanks, everyone. And then that's my contact information if anyone's interested.
Thank you, Kaylee. And if you wouldn't mind putting your email in the chat as well, just in case parents want to grab it that way, that would be super helpful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions for Kaylee or the organization, feel free to email her, or you can email me. I'll put my email in the chat in a little bit as well. And our next presenter was going to be the Lemon Grove Sheriff's Department, but Deputy Collins is having a hard time logging onto the Zoom right now. So we're gonna go ahead and go to Friday Night Live with Linda, if that's okay with you, Linda?
That's great. Thank you.
Excellent. Great.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Linda, and I am a youth development specialist that works for a program called Friday Night Live. And Friday Night Live helps build partnerships for positive and healthy youth development, which engage youth as active leaders in their communities. And so in our program, we really want to show them youth that they have a voice and power to make a difference, and that they can advocate for themselves and the issues that are important to them. Our youth that we work with have opportunities for community engagement, leadership, and advocacy, building meaningful relationships with other peers and adults, and participate in relevant skill development activities. And luckily, Lemon Grove district has some Friday Night Live and Club Life programs within the district. So today I'm here to talk to you all about mindfulness, its importance, and strategies to help practice mindfulness to reduce stress and anxiety. So I'm going to go ahead and go share my screen. All right. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is the idea of, can everyone see my screen? Are we good? All right, awesome, thank you. So mindfulness is the idea of learning how to be fully present and engaged in the moment, aware of your thoughts and feelings without distraction or judgment. Most of our thoughts, emotions, and anxiousness caused by worry are negative, imagining worst case scenarios and anticipating threats. For instance, the worry could be that someone we're meeting won't like us, or that you're not going to do well on a test. But most of the time, our worries don't really pan out. And that's because worry is often invented by the mind and is rarely rooted in fact or truth. And eventually we come to realize that worry doesn't prevent tomorrow's trouble. It just kind of robs us out of today's joy. And an old quote says that worry is an interest you pay on a debt that you might ever owe. So occasional anxieties are a normal part of life. In fact, our brains are evolutionary wired to worry, but it's when the what ifs are persistent and run rampant that worry becomes a chronic source of anxiety, leading to insomnia, headaches, stomach problems, and more, which could be really debilitating for students and can make them feel like they don't want to go to school. At its most extreme, worry can be paralyzing, interfering with how we show up in everyday life and preventing us from taking action ourselves. A Harvard researcher and lecturer by the name of Sean Atcher writes in his book that happiness advantage, adversaries, no matter what they are, simply don't hit us as hard as we think they will. And our fear of consequences is always worse than consequences themselves. And so today we're going to talk about ways and techniques to minimize that stress and anxiety. So when it comes to short-circuiting the anxiety loop, that worry puts us in, meditation can be a great ally. With practice, we learn to step away from the thoughts and emotions that entertain worst-case scenarios. We are essentially training the mind to be calmer, more at ease, and less reactive. In time, we discover that we are less fazed by things that would usually set off negative thinking. And meditation is a great tool, if used consistently, that will help us rewire our thinking and help us to break that worry cycle. Another way of minimizing stress and practicing mindfulness is practicing great gratitude and gratefulness. So gratitude is a state of appreciation that makes us more present, open, and connected with other people around us. It's a heartwarming emotion that that is widely researched for its benefits. And yet it's a feeling that many of us don't seem to experience as often as we would like. And research has shown us that there are many benefits of gratitude, like improving sleep, better social connection, enhances self-esteem, improves mental strength, improves physical strength, increases empathy, improves the psychological health, and reduces aggression as well. And so there are a couple of different ways in practicing how to be more grateful. First, one of the things that I like to do is embrace setbacks. Sometimes to appreciate the good things in life, it helps us to remember the bad ones. So take a moment to think about the past, back to a time where your circumstances were less fortunate than the present. Think about how you've overcome those previous challenges and how you've grown as a person since then. Remembering the bad times and embracing those setbacks will help you feel grateful for how far you've come and for how much you've done for yourself. Also, it's important to make gratitude part of your routine, just like brushing your teeth twice a day or enjoying a morning cup of coffee. Gratitude can become an everyday habit as long as you have a plan to get it there. Think about a part of your daily routine that brings you joy. It could be the morning cup of tea, your commute to school, your evening jog, and try to think about the things you are grateful for during that activity. Eventually, you'll start to organically associate that part of your day with that practice and making being grateful a more significant part of your life. So one of the things that I like to do in the morning when I'm brushing my teeth is to think about all the people that I know support me and I'm really grateful for, and I just love having in my life. And now I feel like it's a really great way to start my morning every day before I head off to work. Another way of practicing gratitude is focusing on others. I feel like sometimes we fall into a trap of getting too caught up in our everyday problems and, all the stuff that we have to do. But by shifting just a little bit of that time and energy into cultivating empathy for others and focusing on their happiness, we give our minds permission to relax and enjoy the present moment. And this practice can trigger a sense of gratitude and joy within ourselves. Or practice being more present. Right now, we are going to experience a mindful meditation session. And I'd like for all of you right now to get comfortable in your seats. You can close your eyes, leave them open, whatever you like to do to turn off your camera if you have your camera on as I play the session for you. Just make sure that you are paying attention to what this person is saying through the walkthrough. So I'm going to play the short clip. I will leave my camera on and I will be following along with this exercise, but feel free to turn your camera off if you feel more comfortable with it.
So just taking a moment to get comfortable. We're going to start with the eyes open. Just a nice soft focus. Aware of the space around you and just taking a couple of big deep breaths. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. As you breathe in, feeling the body expand. As you breathe out, noticing how the body softens. And with the next out breath, just gently closing the eyes. As you close the eyes, just taking a moment to pause, to appreciate that feeling of being on your own for just a few moments. Nothing to do, just feeling the weight of the body pressing down. Appreciating that sense of space. And just starting to notice the environment around you, just allowing any sounds to come and go. Allowing any thoughts to come and go. And then bringing the attention back to the body. Just taking a moment to notice how the body feels. Sense of heaviness or lightness. Sense of stillness or movement. Not thinking about the feeling, just noticing and then just letting it go. Instead, shifting the attention to the breath and rising and falling movement in the body. Starting to notice the rhythm of breathing. Can't feel any movement, just gently placing your hand on the stomach. And although we're following both the in-breath and the out-breath, paying special attention to the out-breath. As you breathe out, just letting go of any inner chatter, letting go of any tension in the body. And in letting go, just feeling a sense of space. In the mind, in the body. Not breathing in any special way, just following the body as it exhales. So enjoying that feeling, appreciating that feeling of space with each and every out-breath. As you begin to bring the attention back to the body again. Just coming back to that feeling of contact, the body pressing down. Back to any sounds around you. And when you're ready, just gently opening the eyes again.
All right, everyone. Bringing everyone back. Feel free to turn your camera on again if you would like. So I really enjoy those mindfulness sessions because I feel like there are moments in the day, especially as adults, where and youth, you know, where we're constantly running around and trying to get from one thing to the next. And I think sometimes we forget to take time within the day to appreciate ourselves and just relax. And so this is a really good reminder, you know, just 5 minutes out of your day to take time for yourself and breathe, as simple as that sounds. We'll be talking about some breathing exercises a little bit, but I notice that sometimes after running around all day, my heart is really racing and I feel more stressed and I have this like pent up stress within myself. And so having that time to really decompress is helpful. So after doing a mindfulness session, your brain is relaxed, but you might want to make sure your body is ready to go out as well. So right now we're going to be going over some exercises to get you to move your body after you've relaxed your brain. So the first activity that I would recommend you to do, these are simple activities that you can, you know, do sitting, sometimes standing, just quickly wherever you are. So the first thing, and you can follow me or not, it's up to you. But the first thing would be just simply swinging your arms side to side. And then the other one is a cross body knee slap. So just putting your hand up and then slapping your knees and making sure that you're taking the time to switch off between your knees. And then there's a body head toe tap. And so that is just head, knees, and toes, tapping your head, knees, and toes to get you to move a little bit more, head, knees, and toes. The next one is a mountain stretch. So you're just gonna take your arms up high and stretch them up way high like this. Stretch them up. Carl's got it. He's doing it perfectly. And then the other one is a side stretch for your ribs and lungs. And so you're just gonna reach over to the side and open up that space for your lung. Breathe in, take a deep breath. Other side, stretch the side, take a deep breath in and out. And then chest stretch back. So you're going to put your hands behind your back, and then you're going to clamp them together, and you're just going to arch your back forward, stretch your chest out, and have that stretch for your back is good. And then the next stretch is just tilting your head left and right. Left and right. So simple 7 stretches. And these are really important because we are also in a time where we are spending a lot of time on the computer. And we need to make sure that we take the time to take breaks from the screen and get movement in the body. So here are those examples of the stretches that we just did on the screen for you here. And I will make sure to share this with Azucena as well, so that she can share that all with you guys if you want a copy of the stretches. Another really great way of being mindful and staying present is paying attention to your breath and doing breathing exercises. This is fast, you don't need any tools, and it's free. And it just takes 5 breaths to reconnect with your body, but 15 minutes can rewire your central nervous system. No, I said 15 minutes, but yes, 15 minutes can rewire your central nervous system. Your brain processes actually 35 to 48 thoughts per minute, and paying attention to your breathing actually helps to refocus and calm your mind. And so one of the first breathing exercises is box breathing, and you can do the 5-5-5 method, which is breathing in 1, 2, 3, and then out 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4. Out 1, 2, 3, 4. The next one is nostril breathing, and it's just switching breathing from either sides of your nostrils. So you'll put one finger on one side of the nostril, breathe in and out. And then you put another finger on the other side of your nostril, then you breathe in and out. And the reason why that helps is because part of breathing exercises is actually taking the time to take a full breath. So often when we're running around stressed, we actually don't take the time to take a full breath, and we're kind of just running around. And actually taking a full deep breath can help with reducing that anxiety that you have. The other one that I have is slow paced breathing, and it's using your hand to follow. So what I like to do is I'll start at my pinky, and when I go down, I'll breathe in. When I go up a finger, I'll breathe out, then breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, and breathe out. And that makes me feel a lot better. One of the resources that I want to share with you, and I'll put the link in the chat later, is this website, and it's also an app. It's called GritX. And so this is a really cool site that you can use to do different breathing exercises. And you can customize your experience by selecting different options. So you can choose the background that you want to use, the audio, and the pace. So let's say I wanted this one. I'll click next, and then I can choose a variety of different soothing sounds. So I'll just go with ambient. And then I can choose what type of breathing that I want to do. So usually I'll do 4 square breathing. And this one, the circle helps you to tell you like how you should be breathing. So when it says breathe in, you'll breathe in for the period of the time that the circle expands. And then you hold it, hold your breath for the time that it says, and then breathe out for when the circle shrinks. So we'll try that together. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. And one more. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. All right. Let me go back to the presentation. Okay, so it's important to remember the things that you can control and the things that you can't. For instance, you can control steps you take to stay healthy, how you cope, how you treat others, time you spend worrying, and the amount of news you consume and time you spend on social media. And there are things that you can't control, what other people say and think, and things like natural disasters. But for the most part, you can control how your body is going to react and how healthy you want it to be. So make sure that your body has the right balance of body and mind, getting good sleep and exercise, as well as engaging in activities that make you happy and make you feel more accomplished, making sure that your children have these opportunities of practicing mindfulness, getting good sleep, exercising, and engaging in activities that make them healthy and happy, and help take care of your mental health. Practice these tools that we learned today, and also check out these other resources that I have on the list. So earlier we did the mindful meditation, and there's a lot of different free versions and of that for on the app called Headspace and Calm, and Insight as well. If those are often paid applications, but if you don't want to pay for those, you can also go on YouTube and just Google mindfulness meditation, and there's a lot of free videos that you can use. Another one is the GritX, like I showed you earlier, where you got to choose the different breathing exercises, the music, and the backgrounds. And then another one that I wanted to show you guys that has been really good for our kids in our group is the MindShift app. And the MindShift app is free to download. It has healthy thinking tools and strategies to help better understand their body, their mind, and their emotions. So kids can learn about anxiety on this app. They can find more tools to help them combat their specific anxieties that they have. And then it helps to also map out some steps that they can take and feel inspired by in being more healthy. The next one is Fit On app, and this app is free as well. It has a lot of different exercises that the kids and you can do as well to help them just be a little bit more physical, because taking care of our physical health is also important, because physical and mental health align together. And then the last thing I wanted to share with you all is Friday Night Live is a program that operates out of the San Diego County Office of Education. And these two were resources that were created by our mental health team. And so the resource on the left has different guides, helplines, and websites you can visit and your youth can visit in case they are looking for more information on how to take care of their own mental health or their friends' mental health. And then the infographic on the right side is 10 self-care strategies for teens. And so the first one is, it's okay to feel overwhelmed. Focus on what you can control, like your breathing and being present in the moment, which we talked about. 2 is spend time outside, even if you're avoiding crowds. 3, engage in mindfulness activities such as starting a gratitude journal or preparing your favorite meal. 4, practice self-care in whatever form it looks like to you, which may include exercising, reading, meditation, or getting adequate sleep. 5, reach out to whoever and whatever you know helps you. 6, make a list of your favorite songs or movies and share the list with your friends. 7, challenge negative beliefs about change. 8, find new ways to connect with your friends. Social distancing should not mean social isolation. So, you know, youth, even during this time, can socialize, you know, via online with a healthy amount of times allocated for that. And 9, make your space comfy and cozy. And 10, set boundaries with your media consumption. And so I have these versions in English and Spanish, so I will also put those in the chat for us. Thank you everyone for allowing me to share these mindfulness and allowing me to present for you guys today. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Linda, for sharing all of that. And I'll be sure to forward any more info you want to email to me to the parents that are here today. And it's super important that children and parents take care of themselves during these very unprecedented times. Okay, well, with that, let's go ahead and go to our next presenter. We have the Lemon Grove Sheriff's Department, Deputy Collins, doing a presentation about some of the programs they offer. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay, perfect, thank you. So bear with me, this is kind of a little newer for me to share all this online, so give me 1 second. All right, how are we looking, good? Yep. Perfect, thank you. Okay, so I'm Rebecca Collins. I'm the deputy with San Diego County Sheriff's Department, currently assigned to the Lemon Grove Station as a traffic investigator. So I'm just going to go through a few some are newer items that we have, or I should say things that you can sign up for. Some are a little bit older, but they're all free and they're through the Sheriff's Department and specifically work for Lemon Grove. So the first one, I don't know if you guys have heard, but you can text 911 now. So it's kind of new to some people. It's been around for a little bit. The biggest reason, I mean, obviously, if you're deaf, hard of hearing, nonverbal, difficult in speaking, it's huge to be able to just text 911. Also, if there's a situation where it's not safe to call 911 for help, this is huge. And then a medical emergency and can't speak on the phone. The biggest thing I would say, and speaking from being on patrol for so many years, is make sure you always put the location. So in the 2, you're going to just put 911. In the bottom, in the message part, make sure you put your location. If it's a school for kids, for instance, just put the name of the school. But you don't have to put anything else if it's truly an emergency and we can show up to a location itself. They will obviously ask you more questions if you're able to answer, but that's huge. Number one is location. So again, like I said, enter the numbers 911 into the to field, just like a normal text message, and then give the location, again in bold, nature of your emergency. So as much information as you can. Our dispatchers and the 911 that you text to will also send out the fire department. So that's where they want to know, is it for a police emergency? Is it the fire department? What exactly is your emergency? And then respond to any questions or follow instructions that they give you. Awesome new way to contact dispatch, especially for kids. If they're in an emergency and don't feel comfortable calling 911 or speaking to a dispatcher, they can text 911 again. Knowing their location is huge. So home addresses, getting that to where your kids know your home address, as well as even just the name of their school or the location that they're at. So the next one I want to go over. So all of you guys, I'm sure, are familiar with Astria is our helicopter, but we have law enforcement helicopters frequently around the county. Ours, again, is Astria, and then a lot of times you'll hear them say, it's mention of maybe a suspect or a situation occurring. It's kind of gargled or it's far away. So now we have the option to actually text to get the message sent directly to your cell phone, which I know is huge, even from working patrol. Sometimes I can't hear them. So at this point, it basically gives you the option or opportunity to actually see the message on your text message. So you're going to call or text that number that's on there. So 858-866-HELO, which is 4356. You have to do this for every single time, though, the helicopter. It has to be for every incident that you hear. But this is only available in Sheriff's Department jurisdictions, but that does include Lemon Grove. So that's where we patrol. And again, it's not aligned to report any crime. So just be cognizant of that. It's strictly just for the helicopter messages, but allows you to be a little bit more involved rather than having to get out of your house to go and try to listen to what they're saying. So you guys can take that number down if that's something you're interested in. This is something that we've had actually for a while. Patrol is very familiar with it. It actually pops up on every single radio call that is formed. If someone is a part of this Take Me Home program, it actually pops up at the bottom of our patrol calls of anyone that's located near that area. So what this is helping at-risk San Diegans get home safely. It's actually a registry that will give us critical information about a registered person in the case of an emergency. So everything from name, date of birth, disability, where they live. So it allows us to get basic access to what's pertinent to them, as well as being able to, if we see them maybe walking around, they all include a photo that we can actually contact them, get them home quicker, safer. So it's all members of the community with a cognitive impairment or disability that may affect their ability to communicate. So anyone that fits in that category. This is where you're going to sign them up. Just me, sdsheriff.net, and then it's Take Me Home, so TMH. So it's going to be the photo, basic information, and then who we need to contact if we do make contact with them. Some people are a part of the Take Me Home and we come into contact with them all the time, and they're not necessarily missing. They can walk freely, and that's part of the notes that would be in there. But if for some reason they do go missing or anything like that, then we do have everything that we need, all their information and who to contact in order to come and pick them up or us to take them home, however that may work. But and a huge question that they put on the brochures and everything about taking home is, could your loved one communicate their name and address if they were lost? So that's something just huge to think about. And I can't say it enough with kids, is just knowing their address. Like their home address is huge. The amount of calls that we get, they just don't know the address. And now we're trying to ping the phone of where they live or something like that, or previous calls from that cell phone, whatever it is. But addresses are huge. That location is number one. And then when someone's lost, every second counts. So, and we know that all too well. So with missing people, especially people that maybe cannot articulate exactly where they live or where they come from, or something call, it's huge. We need to know, they need to know, we need to be able to get them to get home how to find them. Maybe they have frequent places that they go, but all of that is huge, and that's where the Take Me Home program comes in. This is another program that we have. It's known as YANA normally, but You Are Not Alone program. So how it works is we have volunteers, our senior volunteers go through. So they have calls are made Monday through Friday before 10 a.m. and it's strictly for the elderly. So it's for elderly community members that maybe do not have family or friends that can go and check on them on a normal basis. It's basically a weekly basis as they're checked on in case maybe there is some sort of medical emergency, to make sure that they have food, water, that they can take care of themselves, that their house is clean enough. And that's something that we will have a direct involvement with, as well as the fire department if need be. But how it works directly is, again, calls are made Monday through Friday. And a daily log is kept by our senior volunteers to make sure that they're being checked up on. If they don't answer after 3 attempts, then they will go to their house just to make sure that they're not sick or injured or need any help. And then if they see a problem or still cannot make contact, the deputy is called to the scene. And then we'll kind of decide if maybe there's emergency medical care, if forced entry, whatever it might take to get inside the house, just to make sure they're okay. Also weekly, they will get a personal visit as well. You'll see a lot online during the holidays. A lot of different stations will make little gift bags just so they can celebrate the holidays, especially if they don't have any family or friends around. It kind of is just a nice, appreciation for them. And they build a lot of times relationships with these senior volunteers. So this is literally our senior volunteers, their main job is to go and check on the people that are part of the program. So they love it. We love it. So the same, how to enroll. You're just going to contact your local sheriff station, provide all the contact information for phone calls and visits. And that's going to include if there's a gate codes, if there's dogs on the property, so that we know that. Basically how to access them if there's someone who aren't answering the phone or something like that. That's going to be one of the biggest things you just need to add in there so that we're aware and the volunteers can get in there safely. All information is kept confidential, so it stays strictly within the sheriff's department. And with the volunteers strictly. Again, we don't get involved unless we have to, but they love it. It's a bonding thing for them. And it's going to be on stsheriff.gov is where you're going to sign up. And Lemon Grove Station is obviously one of the main places you can go for that. One of the last points I have. So Crimemapping, not sure if you've heard of that yet. So this actually it shows majority of the crimes that occur within your area. So you can actually look up your zip code, you can look up your city. A lot of times you're putting actually your full address, and a lot of the crimes that are registered around that area will pop up. They will tell you, say it shows like a little money symbol, you can actually click on it, maybe a fraud was reported up the street, something like that. But it's a way to kind of just look at your crime stats in your city directly, and then kind of just around your neighborhood. It's free, again. It's a really simple website basically to just access, and you can constantly look at it to see what's going on in your neighborhood. Then the last thing, our crime prevention specialists. So Shanna's only been today, but this is all prevention. So she works directly in the Lemon Grove station. You'll see her at a lot of the Lemon Grove events. And she's the one that you can directly contact for any questions in regards to all the stuff that I've put up. It's also on the sheriff website. So all of this stuff is public in the media area of the sheriff website, but she's going to be your direct contact for any questions that you may have. Even questions for me, you can send directly to her. We work in the same station. But she's awesome for any type of public events that you guys might have coming up. Pamphlets, if you guys need pamphlets just to hand out. If you want more information for your kids, schools, anything like that, she's going to be that main contact. Okay. That's all I have.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Deputy Collins, for being with us and bearing with us with the technical difficulties. We really appreciate all of the information and your patience with everything. All right, and that about wraps up our portion of the info sessions. And we thank all of our presenters for being here and all of the parents. And so what I'm gonna do is stop the recording so we can get on to the transition to getting the bingo set up. So let me just stop the recording now and thank everybody for being here for the info sessions.